Drama.
So much drama.
Such a good
Drama.
topic
Very
today,
engaging.
drama, because newsrooms are full of drama.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is
hello.
true. That's true.
You're live, by the
All
way.
right,
Right.
hi. I didn't know
Hi
we were
there.
live. We're here with Andrea Vallely and Lee.
It happened
of
this morning,
Happy.
too.
Yes, to me, it did happen this morning. I didn't know I was live on TV this morning. It was
Oh.
a little bit embarrassing, a little bit. But we're talking about drama today.
Yes.
Some people love it. Why?
Yeah, and there's
Right.
a reason that we love drama because it's very engaging. We actually get an adrenaline rush from drama, which sounds so crazy. There's an excitement to it, so there's a gain. Sometimes we feel an importance when we're involved in a drama. So there's actually a lot of value to a drama that we're not consciously aware of, but we actually get something from it.
Right.
So drama queens are good.
Drama
Well-
queens are good. I
That's what
think
I
we
heard.
all go through that at some
Yeah.
point, don't we? I don't think there's anybody who hasn't been a drama queen, dare I say,
Or
and
king.
at some point, drama queen, drama king, you know. I think we go through it. It's when we get into that sort of fight or flight mode and we think that we become victims. And as soon as we change that victim mentality and really, I know it sounds like the cliche, but when we take a breath, it actually allows us to start thinking again as opposed to going into this sort of drama mentality.
Yeah. And what's so interesting, we were talking about a lot of times in families, people play this role, and it gives them an importance in the
Right.
family. It becomes their identity of the person that always has the drama going on. And from that space, they are unconsciously getting support and love from it. They're not consciously saying, this is how I'm going to get love, but actually that's what's happening is because they have this reoccurring role in their family of, I'm always the victim, I'm always the one that has trouble, and everybody gives them attention. There's a gain from it. There's actually a feeling of, it's fulfillment. I guess it's fulfillment.
You kind of
that we
get
from that.
Yeah, you kind of feel like, okay, now the attention's on me. The love,
Exactly.
like I'm getting love and support, and I know people care about me.
Exactly,
absolutely,
Terry. That's
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
it. So it's not conscious, but unconsciously we're getting what everybody needs is we want to feel loved, we want to feel taken care of. So, some people feel like they just don't deserve anything good in their life. Some people feel like nothing good ever happens to me. And when they're in that role of victim, they will create more of being a victim. Oh boy!
Oh,
look who's
drama!
here.
I'm playing the drama!
Mr. Drama
Do you
himself.
think Eric would miss the topic of
Drama.
disempowering drama?
Yeah. This is your topic.
It is my topic.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I wanted to say, like, I also feel kind of like this in my life, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it. In my family, I feel like there have been times in the past, and I know you said this, Lee, we've all done this, but I feel like it's been me.
You are
Right.
so precious.
And I'm sitting here thinking about
Well,
this, and I'm
the
just like,
newsroom in the morning.
oh, stop it,
Who
Gary.
is the most dramatic?
It's not me. Yes, it is. But I'm remembering, times growing up when I was a teenager, I feel like I had a lot of drama.
Yeah.
There was a lot of drama around me. And kind of like what you guys were saying about just taking a deep breath and realizing that, the sky isn't falling.
Right. And
Right,
also, I love
absolutely.
that you're able to look back on that because it's going big picture. When we go big picture and we say, wait a second, is this a pattern that's repeating in my life? That's when we get to say, how can I take responsibility for this and what's my part in this? Which is not an easy thing to do because we're not consciously creating drama, but actually when we're experiencing it, there's a feeling of unworthiness, I'm not good enough, something that's going on that has this desire to create a drama so we can feel worthy, so we can feel purposeful. Again, it's not conscious, but the only way to actually recognize it is to go big picture and take a look at it and say, wait, is this a reoccurring theme?
So what do you say? We all have those family members.
Of course.
So what do you say to someone like, oh my God, you're so much drama? Because then that just creates more drama.
Exactly.
So how do you
Yeah, how do you
slap
help
them
someone
across the
else
face to wake them up
recognize
without
it?
actually
Yeah.
slapping them across the face?
Well,
This
and
is
you could
where
do that.
you probably want to slap me across the face for saying this, but nothing is the answer. Because if you, even in the nicest possible way, give attention to that drama, you've got a problem because that drama is going to get bigger. So the best thing to do is just understand it, they're in that mode, and wait for a calmer moment to talk about it. Because if you talk in that moment, it's going to exacerbate the problem. This is the key. Now, you can lower the tone, as in just lowering your voice, as in being a little calmer yourself. Not like ridiculously so, but just having that sort of calming motion within you will help them just calm down that little bit to allow them to understand where they are.
But how do you also, for yourself, how do you get yourself, I know you said take a deep breath, but when you're so caught up and, you know, being dramatic and doing all, and having all of this drama, you're surrounding yourself by, how do you, you know, get yourself out of it?
You
Like,
just
wake
had the
yourself up
answer
and...
right there.
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath, but what did you do? You asked the question. And questions are the ultimate to snap you out of something. Like, what else could this mean? If we've just completely changed perception, or how can I make this a pleasant experience? Now, you might sort of say that with gritted teeth at the time, but the thing is, the more questions you practice in advance, you know, for yourself, if you're working on yourself, the more practice you get in these questions, the more they will happen automatically. It's like, whoa, I'm going into my drama queen stage. Okay, how can I get myself out of this in this moment?
Or how can I see this differently?
How can I see this differently?
Yeah.
How else can I see this?
How do you recognize drama versus, you know, someone just going through something that is having a large effect on them?
Yeah. Well, I think when
Is it the repeating pattern? I mean, is that...
I would definitely say it's so important to go big picture and take a look and you know, sometimes we're just not aware of it. We're not awake to it and say, wow, you know what? I keep dating the same guy, or, you know, I keep creating the same circumstances at my job.
Why are you looking at me, Gary? I'm getting the dirtiest look behind the camera here.
It's not a dirty look. It's you
It's
hit
a look
a
of recognition.
you hit a nerve.
It's a look of recognition.
Nerve.
But yeah, you know, it's taking a look at the pattern, you know, like I remember I had a client and she had, I mean, her job was really, really rough. She was working crazy hours, and the first thing I said to her was, don't leave. Because wherever you go, you take you with you, and you're going to create the same circumstance wherever you go. So let's get you feeling really good about you. Let's create boundaries for you so that if and when you do leave, you don't create the same scenario. So that's the beauty in taking a look at our responsibility in life is, okay, how am I showing up and what's my part in creating this?
I love that idea of not, you can't run from yourself.
That's
You
right.
know,
Wherever you
people
go.
sometimes will try to leave a job or try to
Right.
leave, you know,
The country.
they'll move. Right, they'll move. I mean, it happens. People
Yeah.
do this.
And they say it's the job, but you
Right.
just said it. You take you with you.
Right,
Exactly.
you can't escape yourself.
Exactly. You can create your own happiness wherever you go. It doesn't mean you have to stay in something that you no longer enjoy, but what it does mean is that you're taking responsibility for how you're showing up, because just like you said, wherever you go, there you are. So a lot of this is self-reflection, you know.
And I love what you said, is how do you know the difference? Well, that is the difference. If there's a pattern here, then you probably want to start looking at what's going on within you. If it's a one-off situation, then okay, maybe you're in an awkward situation with somebody else.
Everyone has drama once in a while.
Right,
Of course,
yeah,
of
absolutely.
course, and we can always take the learning from it. You know, sometimes we have to go through things just to experience our own evolution, just to learn something from it, just to be able to see things differently. You know,
But
it
I
gives us
also
an
think
opportunity.
even if it isn't a pattern, trying to remember that big picture is so important.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times you forget and you're so focused in on the problem that it seems bigger than what it is.
Totally, and you know what? Once you start reflecting on your life, no matter what's going on, you can look back on your life and say, well, when did I experience this discomfort before in my life? And realize that you got through it. You know, we do have the tools to get through it.
I know I've talked to you guys about this before, but I've started journaling, and it's funny because you'll go down this rabbit hole of woe is me and this and that, and then I'll go back and I'll look at it, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Like, what was I thinking? Why, you know? So it's kind of the same thing, you know, taking a step back and looking at the big picture and seeing
Right.
things aren't really as awful as
Yeah.
when you're in that moment, writing it down and
Right.
feel like the sky is falling.
What if you think drama's fun?
Well, there you go.
That's this guy.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Is
It's
we.
addictive.
Yeah, it is addictive.
Right.
Uh-huh.
It
That's
is
what you're
addictive.
saying with the adrenaline rush.
Yeah, we get an
Eric
adrenaline
Roby.
rush. There's an excitement
Eric
to
Roby.
it. You know, we feel purposeful. We're involved in something. You know, we've
This
been watching.
is explaining so much about you.
We've been watching Downton Abbey. whatevs. And I know we're a little late on that, but
Uh-huh.
we were just talking about last night how you know, that when they went to war, you know, these people that were postmen and accountants, and you know, they had these positions where they felt their job was mundane, suddenly had this importance, you know, and then the war is over, and where, you know, they feel like, well, where's my importance? It was just interesting. We were talking about
Yeah, and then they go back to a mundane life, and then suddenly you need to drum up a little bit of chaos somewhere, you
Yeah.
know, to make it more interesting. And
Hide the
that's
mail.
where, what's that?
Hide the mail.
Hide the mail.
Yeah, and that's where it becomes addictive, and then it becomes, you know, a real problem, because you're looking for, I mean, we know people, by the time they get to us, they've fallen out with 3 people on the way, you know. It's like, and we think, how is that possible? And they all have a genuine story for each particular thing that happened. And I would say, well, if that's happening so often, there may be a little bit of an addiction there.
Right. There must be some sort of underlying story of.
I
you
have
know,
just
why
learned
am I
so much.
creating
I'm
this?
serious. I've just learned so much about you.
Don't you start any drama.
But he doesn't have falling outs with people, so it's not that kind of drama.
No,
Right,
and
right.
there's an excitement. You know, there is an excitement to drama, and sometimes it's because we want to help. You know, we want to get involved. We want to feel purposeful.
It is fun
You
a
know?
little bit.
Find your purpose.
I mean,
Yeah.
Find your purpose.
We want, and
yeah,
for some, it's an
creating drama.
importance. You know.
I've noticed I've done this in relationships too.
Yeah.
I've caused some drama.
Right.
And I feel like there are a lot of people, men and women, who, if things are at a status quo, they'll
They
stir
gotta
some
shake it
things
up.
up because it brings back some level of excitement.
It brings
And-
back a level of excitement. Yeah.
Right, and they don't
also
realize
need.
that.
You
Right.
need me.
Mm-hmm.
You need
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And there's
That's
so often that people, as you say, in relationships, it's going perfectly, everything's fine, you know, everything's going swimmingly, and then you feel unconsciously like, I want to create an argument. Now, you don't do that consciously, but unconsciously just drum up something that they're doing wrong. You know, you put that teaspoon in the wrong place there. That's it. I can't take anymore.
Right, it's true. I mean, it's true. I've done it in my poor ex-boyfriend. I did this to him quite a few times. Yeah.
Can't leave us hanging.
No, I'll just
feel
leave it
ya.
at that.
I
No, but picking those little fights that all can be considered drama, right?
Absolutely. And you know, we don't know this consciously, but like underlying there's a, oh gosh, do I really deserve to have a happy life? Believe it or not, do I really deserve to have a happy life? Am I really worthy of this? Am I really enough? All these things we're not conscious of, but unconsciously we'll mess things up because there's this underlying ridiculous story. There's no
Got my
truth in
finger.
it, but an underlying story that says, I'm not worthy, I always cause problems, my relationships never work out, I'm always the problem child, I'm the black sheep. It's this underlying story that we live through. It's like we were telling you about the client, you know, who will get in a fight with 3 people before they see us, because underlying, they don't get along well with people. So they create it in their life.
Right.
Because so that, oh, don't you see this? See, I'm right, I don't
Keep
get along with
proving it.
people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Did you say was there a question?
Oh no.
He had his finger
I had
over
my
the-
finger over the camera.
Oh, I see.
Thanks.
Sorry. No, but people are laughing and laughing.
Yeah.
And laughing. There's lots of laughing.
Right, okay.
No, I mean, we all know, but it's interesting to be able to take a look at ourselves. It's all about self-reflection to say, okay, if there's a lot of drama in my life, what is my role in this? Okay, how am I creating, how am I taking part in it? It's a really hard thing to do, and trust me, I'm not saying it from a standpoint of being a teacher. I'm saying it being a standpoint of I'm in it. I've experienced it
Right.
in my own
Yeah.
life in bizarre ways, and I got to look back and say, okay, on the outside, this looks like I had nothing to do with it, but guess what? I played a role in this. Here's my role in this, and here's what I have to learn from this. Here's my learning from it. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's a very rewarding thing to do, because once you reflect on it, you won't continue to have those patterns in your life.
A lot of self-reflection,
Yes. Yeah.
which is hard.
And changing those patterns.
Right.
Changing the
right.
patterns, and also, and you remember, sometimes some people love drama because again, there's an excitement. You know, you feel on purpose.
How do you feel, Eric?
Well, I mean, I completely agree. And I think that the hardest thing is one, finding out what that feeling is
Yeah.
inside that's making you act out, however, because it is subconscious. And then two, if you do figure it out, remembering what it is.
Yeah.
Because you keep falling back into it.
It's
Yeah.
easy to fall back into, because remember, like, you know, we get attention when there's drama, people support us, we can be the center of attention. So it feels like love, but it's actually not the kind of love that is really fulfilling, because that's
So for
gotta
people
come
on the
from
outside,
within.
so then I can ignore the drama moments to help them. Like, let's say someone in the newsroom is dramatic, and then I want to help them get past their
I don't know why you keep
their
looking
feed.
at me.
I'm not. I'm their feed for
He's
drama.
looking for permission to tune out. To not engage.
But that helps, right? Not engage.
Absolutely, not engaged.
See,
And
I'm talking about-
just remember that.
But won't that escalate? Like if it's a relationship, if it's like
Well-
a work thing, I think that probably works. But if it's a
No.
relationship, if you tune out, won't that
Well,
like?
I mean, let's face
Temporarily
it.
tune out.
I mean, the key is when you say don't engage, it's not like turn your back on them, you know, and say, not putting
That's
up
what
with
Gary's
this.
talking
You
about.
just
Right.
don't add fuel to it.
It's more
That
a
would be
case of
lethal.
have compassion.
Relationship.
Have compassion
Yeah.
for the person. Realize they're in it in that moment, and every one of us is in it at some moment. So it's not like, you know, we can say, "Oh, I'm perfect," and you're in this terrible place. So having that compassion will already give you a sense of disengagement, and then as a consequence, you'll probably say and do the right things at that moment for that person. It's very hard to say, oh, this is what you do every single time, because every person and every situation is different. But when you have that compassion within you, you just know what to say and what to do, and maybe give them space, or maybe give them some attention, perhaps.
That's what Marilyn says. She says suggest setting an appointment with a psychologist or do group therapy, and they'll say the same thing. She says people at the end should speak up and say how they feel.
Right,
Yeah,
right. I mean, again,
absolutely,
holding it in is
Yeah, honesty, absolutely. And you know, I'll ask the question, you know, how can I see this differently, or how can I be more loving? You know, how can I be more loving in this situation? Sometimes being more loving is, you know, how can I help you? And other times being more loving is not adding fuel to the fire. And you'll know, the bottom line is when you get out of here and you start doing your breathing and just calming down, we innately know what the most loving response is.
right.
I think the more you practice these things, you know, you get frustrated because, like you were saying, you fall back into the same old pattern of being dramatic. But I feel like sometimes you can, you know, you start working on it slowly, and then it kind of becomes like a habit or a skill you build.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, wherever you are is perfectly perfect. You know, there's no end result. Oh, I'm here and everything's great. Everything is a learning.
And also not beating yourself up over
Yeah.
it. Because again, we all do it. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it. We all do it at some point. Even, you know, the slightest amount, we do it at some point. So just having that. And you're the perfect example. You know, make light of it. Because we put too much pressure. We think, oh my gosh, I've done it wrong. If we make fun of it, if we make light of it, then it dissipates anyway. So, and I feel then that you just get more and more out of that habit as a consequence.
Yeah.
So.
I remember a friend of mine said to me years and years ago, you know how there's certain things you'll never forget? She said to me, don't walk into the tornado, run away from it. And I just thought it was brilliant. You know, she said it was one funny little one-liner, but I thought, you know what? It's brilliant. Disengage. Don't get involved in the drama. You know, you can support someone you love, but you don't have to get in it with them.
It's funny you say that because my dad, he has a bad temper, and my mom, she completely just, my dad will, he's gotten better as he's gotten older, but he'll lose his temper, and my mom will just roll her eyes and move along like
Right.
nothing happened, and then 2 minutes later my dad's over it, my
Right.
mom's over it,
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
just on to the next. She
Brilliant.
never engages my dad. She
Brilliant.
never walks into the tornado,
Yeah.
ever.
Right.
If she
Fantastic.
engaged him, the 2 minutes would become 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant. She's like,
Right.
oh, he's doing his thing. I'll let him do his thing. And, you know, when he's done, we'll hang out. Perfect.
And that's why it works really well for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do the same.
Yeah.
I'd be right in that tornado.
Yeah, right? Right for the middle.
Talking about some good stuff here, right?
Yeah.
And what do you guys have coming up?
We have our shift happens weekend. I always have to make sure I pronounce that correctly.
That's very good. Enunciation in that word is very key.
Yes, exactly. And that's August 11th and 12th in Naples. And then we have a recovery coaching coming up, and our Tuesday nights where we focus on the conversation of the 3 principles. So that's an inside-out understanding. You have to check out our website to learn more about that.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
Drama.
so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Drama free.
Yeah, have a drama-free week.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.